Hi students. So what you're going to be doing for the pasta unit is to complete the lab preparation and review sheet that you see in front of you. Some of you are taking some shortcuts or maybe not understanding how to complete this. If you note in the shaded boxes, it gives the description of what to do. I also provided examples in each set of boxes for your reference. So the first box or the first table talks about preparation terms and techniques. I included these. These are the ones you need to define in terms of the recipe given. So with regard to the skillet ziti, what does it mean to saute? What's going on? And then what tools or equipment will you be using? Going on down, understanding the equipment and tools. So I put them in here for you. You need to include a picture and then describe how is it used in preparing the recipe. Going down to the next section, the safe flow of food. Again, this deals with preventing our food from becoming contaminated or unsafe. So what could happen from the time you start preparing to the time you consume it that could cause it to become unsafe? So again, I have the source of contamination here. An example would be eggs if you're making something like cookies or whatever. So you need to identify 2 additional sources. Do not just say dirty hands. What's on the hands? What would happen? And I also used hands, so don't include that. So identify another source of potential contamination along the way. Remember, when we talked about contamination, we were talking about things like biological, physical, those sorts of things. So you have to be think a little further than I didn't wash my hands or the counter was dirty. The next part talks about preventing hazards. These are preventing accidents and injury. So again, it says right here, looking at things like slips, trips, falls, burns, cuts, electrocution, any of those things. So what could happen in the process of preparing the skillet ziti? And then what are you going to do to prevent that from happening? So the example here I used, do not use another example of cutting. So I said cutting finger on hand while chopping. And then how am I going to prevent that? Making sure my knife is sharp and using the claw grip. So you need to identify 2 more sources of 2 more things that could happen while you're preparing this that could cause an accident or injury. Then down to the understanding ingredients, again, in terms of this recipe. So the recipe calls for fresh garlic. What is it? Include a picture. What could you use instead of the fresh garlic? What else could you use? Think about what we've used in class. Do you have to use the garlic? Do you have to use the red pepper flakes? So you need to process the recipe so you're understanding these different ingredients. So that's what's expected there. And then working down towards the lab plan. If we were in the lab, you would be, what steps would you take from start to finish to complete this recipe? So that's what we're looking for here. I hope this helps. Again, I'm always here for you. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.